Got it. Show you the feathers and then we'll start drawing in about 10 minutes time. Right, okay. Back to the, right. Now you probably know what's the biggest white bird in Britain? Any answers? You can we all unmute, please, Ian? Sorry, Ben, Jane.
We will.
Right.
Albatross?
Nope. That's not, we only get albatross very rare in Britain. These are on virtually every lake and river in Britain.
Swan.
Swan, yes. Mute swan. Called a mute swan, but it does actually make a bit of a noise. So this is a wing feather. And they're very, very strong, very, very strong indeed. They're lightweight. Some scientists have called them lightweight miracles of engineering, which is quite right, because they're creation. Now, this is another very common bird on alongside water in Britain. This is off the back of a bird. So you probably don't realize what that one is. That one's that's a grey heron. So these are on the back of the heron. Those lovely little spears. You see how different it is to the mute swan one. It doesn't have to be strong. It's still strong. Now, I said before, this one is of the wing of an osprey. It's the inner flight feathers. It's not the pointed flight feathers, which are quite different. Flight feathers of birds like ospreys and buzzards are like this. And you see they have this little notch here that controls the wind and the way that they can soar in the air with barely moving their wings. So this is of a buzzard. An osprey one would be a bit bigger, the outer flight feather, the inner flight feather. Now, I think I showed you these two last time. Can anyone remember? These are two from two very different birds, even though they look very similar, but they're two very, very different birds. This one is a curlew, and this one is the fastest bird in the world. What's the fastest bird in the world? Can you unmute?
Peregrine falcon.
Peregrine falcon, quite right. Do you know how fast they can fly or stoop?
250?
Very good, yeah. 250 miles an hour. So that's over 500 kilometers an hour, 600 kilometers an hour, whatever. Absolutely incredible. But of course, they're not actually flying. They are stooping through the air with their wings closed up tight. But the curlew doesn't fly anything like as fast as that, but you can see the very similar pattern. And this is a very common pattern in many birds. Now, oh, that's I doubt you'll be able to guess what this is. It's bright orangey red. It's off the back of a golden pheasant. It is a pheasant, yes. It's a golden pheasant, which were brought into Britain from the east a couple of 100 years ago. You don't see them very often, but they are beautiful birds. Very beautiful birds. So this is off the back of a golden pheasant. Now this one, look at the pattern, the subtlety of the pattern in that. Can anybody guess what sort of bird this is off? It's a night bird with very soft plumage.
Barn owl?
It's actually, it is an owl, very good, but it's actually an eagle owl. So there aren't many eagle owls in Britain, but they're one of the birds that are moving into Britain, are colonizing. on the continent. Also, they escape from zoos and private collections. Here's a bigger one. This is off a desert eagle owl. But look at every single pattern on every single feather, on every single bird is different. Amazing. That's a flight feather from the wing of an eagle owl. Now, what bird can fly 70,000 kilometers a year from the Arctic to the Antarctic and back? The clue is in the name. It's actually an Arctic tern. 70,000 kilometers a year from the Arctic to the Antarctic and back. All of them don't fly that far. Like the ones on Anglesey here don't go up to the Arctic, but they'll go down to the Antarctic for the winter in a massive figure of 8 through the Atlantic oceans from the Arctic to the Antarctic. Astonishing bird. Again, these weigh just a few ounces and they dive under the sea for little sand eels and small fish. Now, again, this shows you the variety in the feathers from a curlew. See, these are all from a curlew. Every single one of them has these beautiful patterns. See, some of them have curving bars, some of them have drooping ones, and every single one is unique. So these are all of a curlew. That's our biggest wading bird. I'm going to draw some of these later. These are all off the same wing of a seagull, a young herring gull. You probably know that many young gulls are brown. They're not white and grey like the adults. But these are all off the same wing. And you look at the incredible patterns here. All these unique little patterns from very pale through to very dark. So when we draw them in a minute, you don't have to copy these exactly because every one is going to be slightly different. So you can't really get it wrong. I mean, that's the unique thing about our creator. Every one of us is absolutely unique. Every one of us is slightly different. Some of us are crazier than others, but we all have these tiny, tiny differences, whatever. And that's all part of creation. So, unfortunately, I haven't got a goldcrest feather here. Goldcrest is the smallest bird in Britain. This is one of the biggest birds in the world. Does anybody know what this comes from? Apart from the fact it came from Chester Zoo. This is one of the biggest birds in the world. The wingspan is... sorry? Sorry?
Ostrich?
Nope, ostrich has very soft little feathers actually on its wings. It doesn't have big wing feathers. It has little tiny wing feathers.
Albatross?
Nope. An albatross probably has the biggest wingspan in the world, but its wings are quite narrow. This is an Andean condor, which can imagine that's just a tiny part of a condor's wing. So the wingspan is about 11 foot or nearly 4 meters. So that's pretty big. And you can see my hand. My hands aren't very large, but I got this at Chester Zoo by crawling along the ground with a big stick and poking around in the aviaries. I would have been arrested nowadays, but there we are. And 2 of my... Now you probably know what this one is. This is quite a common bird in Britain, even though...
Pheasant?
Pheasant, that's right. Yeah. This is a pheasant tail. This is the tail feather, the central tail feather, because the tail feathers get shorter as they come in around the side. So this is a central tail feather from a ringneck or common pheasant. And here's three of the biggest birds of prey in Britain. This is a buzzard, outer wing feather. This is a golden eagle, inner wing feather. So it's a third as big again as a buzzard, but this is an inner one. If this was an outer feather, it would be a lot longer. It would look like this one, but it'd be a lot longer. So that's a golden eagle. And this is a bird which has just been reintroduced to Britain from the Isle of Wight to the Hebrides. Does anybody know a big eagle? It's a sea eagle or white-tailed eagle. They've been introduced now back into Scotland and also on the Isle of Wight. Anybody that saw Springwatch, if you could stand to watch Springwatch, would see quite a few of these eagles. And that's an inner wing feather again, which shows you how big this wing is. This is a bird with an 8 foot, that's nearly 3 meter wingspan. Okay, right. So let's do some drawing. Now, I don't know if I hope you printed some of these out to color in, or let's get this camera right. So this is the peregrine. The one we looked at earlier. So this is the peregrine, this is the curlew, but they can vary. So really, all we want to draw about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, about 9 bars. I'll put that one there. Put that there alongside. Now, all I'm going to use are crayons and brown and dark colors. Maybe it's the best way to. I'll just clip that. Okay. So we use this one as a pattern. So it can be a peregrine or it can be a curlew. Right. And I'm just going to use a black pencil. And what we want to do is do about 1, 2. You don't have to get, doesn't really matter. Those numbers of lines, and the other side is dark. So what we're going to do with each one of these lines is make them wider like that. So you don't want, so each one is sort of curved. And each one can be slightly different. And they generally get a bit thinner as they get to the top. As I say, they're all unique. So each one will be slightly different. So these are slightly thicker down here as they go up. And as you get to the top, the entire top bit, in fact, is dark. So we're going to do the other side of the feather first. Now, I'm just going to draw like this all the way up. If you're using paint, you can fill that in with dark color, dark brown, something like that. But I'm going to do it like this, because that's the way, when you look closely at feathers, look very closely, you'll see the fibers, the individual fibers. And you probably know they're all linked together. As the dog just caught a pheasant.
No, it's somebody at the door.
All right. Dog eats postman. See, I'm using quite a thick pencil here. And if you want to do it in color, then it's kind of dark brown is often the color. And these are sorry. Right. Oh. I don't know what that message meant, but there we are. So the top bit here, this bit is all dark. Like that. And by the time you get to the top, you can't see the central shaft. The central shaft of feathers is often pale. So now we're going to do the individual marks, bars. These are usually slightly pointed. The printout was, I think, was sent out about a month ago, wasn't it, Ben?
Which printout are you talking about?
This page, I think they're talking about this page full of feather shapes.
It was sent out 3 days ago.
Oh, right. Right. And some of you not got it. Ah, yes. Oh, good. Good. Right. You see, you can go over the lines a bit. This is where and again, slightly thicker. This is where the white feather shaft starts to show. Ah. Right. I'll just look at the chat. Ah. Oh, it looks like some have not received it then. Yeah, this is what it was a print of this page. So it should, there's a PDF, I think, or a JPEG of this page. Right. So has nobody received it?
We haven't, but we are just doing it instead. We're just drawing the feathers.
Oh, right, good, thank you, good. Yeah. Yes, I don't know why it's not come through, but yes, if you could draw the feathers, we'll do them one by one. All right, so so this is the buzzard one. Now, so you can see it's the same sort of idea, but it's much more abstract, much more pattern-like. Right. So can the ones who haven't received it, I don't know whether it's probably too late to print them out. Yeah, receive them and print them out. Yeah. So, well, so this is the buzzard one. And it's sort of a banana shaped feather. This is an inner flight feather. I shall do this one in brown. I'm just have to go ahead here. Right. So this side of the feather is mainly just brown. So the feathers, the filaments always there was about 45 degrees. Right. Yeah. Just making this darker now. Hmm. Have you all managed to draw a feather if you haven't got one? Yeah. Okay. Just going to move this round. Now, as with the peregrine, this has bars, but they're very different. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This has roughly 6 bars. They're very zigzaggy, very different. So we just make six marks. Roughly like that. We're going to do the same sort of thing as with the peregrine, but they're a lot different. Look at that. So you can make these patterns any way you like, really. But what you'll notice is that they all have the white space between the bars, but they're not neat and tidy like the peregrine. Right. Right. So this one is kind of like that. So you can draw these sort of shapes any way you like, really. They're kind of zigzaggy like that. But each one is different. On every wing as well, on every feather. And then they're getting very, it's like water. So they're getting, I'm simplifying them really. And this one is really a lot thicker. And then by the time we get to the end, there's really only it's almost all brown. Just with a little white space in between. And the end is all quite dark. You can see it's a lot of these are darker as you get to the middle of the feather. In fact, they're almost black, but I'm still using the dark brown crayon. And they've got a bit of light brown. So you see, this is a lot simpler. Than the actual thing, but it's got these patterns. So it's sort of a simplification of this. And it means when the buzzard sat in the tree, it's very, very, very well camouflaged with its wings closed. Right. So that's a simplified buzzard one. Later as well, you could go over the peregrine one with a brownie colour. If it was off a young peregrine, it would be brownie as well. Now, I'm thinking to try and do a this is a buzzard. It's off the front of a buzzard. You see it's once again very, very similar with these bars on it, but I've made it simpler by making it like a teardrop shape. So can you all draw this one? Like a teardrop? Kind of cross between a balloon and a teardrop. You see it's actually very, very fluffy because these feathers are called down feathers. These are the feathers close to the body that keep the buzzard warm in winter. Right. Every time I move, it blows away. So have you all managed to draw a teardrop shape? I'm going to use the same. This is just a brown. Yes, it looks like a leaf. Very good. So it's a leaf shape of teardrop. It's a common shape for feathers on the breast of a bird. But you see, it's basically, you can see it as two white bars on a brown feather, or you can see it as three brown bars on a white feather. We're going to do it really, simplify it by making the pattern like that. Oh. And then we need to leave a white, this white. So it's a bit like a chevron, if you know what a chevron is. Trying to make it as simple as possible. And it's slightly thicker in the middle. So and then we've got one white bar there. So we need another white bar here. And that's the basic pattern of lots of birds of prey, especially goshawk, sparrowhawk, buzzard. All right. So all the filaments of the feather go this way on this side, that way on that side. They're always like that. They're always going out about 45 degrees from the shaft. The shaft of this is nothing like as thick as this. It's called the quill. So you can see that there are gaps. These are not solid feathers like the flight feathers. The flight feathers have to be solid. These are a lot softer. So the filaments spread out. So we start down here. And they come out and they separate as well. So you can put them out beyond the lines. And keep. Try and make them look fluffy. So that nothing like as tight as these. These are a lot fluffier. And then again, put a little point here. These are very short. Like that. And this, you see here, this actually sort of goes into grey. So it's very, there's only a bit of brown here, kind of fades out. And it's very, 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 very fluffy. Oh. So there's only a bit of brown here. And this is just fluff. And then we're going to start this thing has static electricity, so it sticks to me. Right, so doing this side. Again. Let's go to see. This is what it looks like when it's on the breast of a buzzard, like this. So you see, when they're all together, they make the most amazing patterns. No. So try and make them look fluffy. The only solid bit would be down the middle. You can put gaps between them. As they go to the side, to the edges. Again, this is largely fluff. Don't hardly see the very fluffy around here. See the main pattern is coming down like that and fading out to the sides. Which doesn't really look like that, but you see, roughly, very roughly speaking, you lay that over the top. Actually looks quite good. Laid over the top. Right. So that's off the front, that's off the breast of a buzzard. Right. Now, I think this will be the last one we'll do today. This is off a herring gull. So if you could draw roughly a lollipop shape feather like this. Well, This is one of the books I illustrated. It shows you the gulls. The adult gulls are grey and white. The young gulls are quite brown. Can't quite figure out why this doesn't focus properly on the book. Right. Anyway. So, have you all managed to do a feather this sort of shape? It's what you might call a general feather shape. Right. Now look at this one. This is like modern art. So this is a young herring gull's feather. And so look at the patterns on the end there. Looks like a spider. Looks like someone spilled something. You spilled coffee on the kitchen table in the morning. So you can let your imagination go with this one. You can do this one virtually any way you like. So you can see that most of it is up at the top third of the feather. So I'm really just going to do a squiggle, something like that, with a fiddly bit. See, just do nice squiggles like that. Fiddly bits, diddly bits. See that? Just make pretty marks. And then we're going to fill them in the same way. Actually, tip it that way up. See? Because remember, every feather is going to be slightly different. I mean, look at that. Again, we've got the same sort of fiddly bits, but that's the technical term, fiddly bits, right? Put that there. Right. So we're going to start here with the dark bits. See. Now I've slightly changed that already. It doesn't matter because they're all slightly different. We've got this bit here. Just need to try and keep the filaments, the individual bits of feather, all going 45 degrees out on either side. And this bit's quite solid up to here. And it actually leaves this slate white border up near the top there. But see, that's just a variation. This is called abstraction. That's what abstract art is all about. It is finding patterns and interpreting the patterns yourself. So these are just little wormy squiggles. some thick, some thin. See, I'm not doing exactly like that, but the fact is that on a young gull, you could find a feather with patterns like that. Now these patterns are smaller here and paler. See that? They're fading down the feather. They're just little bits and pieces. The point is they start off stronger and thicker up here, then they fade all the way down. There's none down here. I'm going to go over that with a bit of black just to make that darker. Nothing like as dark as the feather itself. But, and then we notice here these little fiddly bits on the end. So there's a nice little squiggle and a thicker squiggle. Again, they're just fading out down here. Just a couple of spots. I'm just gonna again add a bit of black. This is a graphite pencil. It's solid lead. It's quite, some reason on a camera you can't get really black. I turned the light down a bit. So that's my own version. So change that. We change that a bit, but we've made our own patterns. Infinite variety of patterns. That's the amazing thing about creation, about God. If we really were a result of evolution, which is nonsense, there's no way that every single thing would be unique and different like people. Every single bit of creation, every grain of sand, every feather, even drop of water is different and unique. That's my excuse anyway. So there we are. Right. There Okay. So before you show me what you've done, I'm sorry that if you didn't get the printouts, I don't know why you didn't get the printouts, but here's one last question. Does anybody know, this is one of the commonest ducks in Britain. Does anybody know what part of the duck it is? It's a mallard duck. So it's the commonest duck in Britain. And this is the tail feather on the male. See that? Next time you look at a mallard on the park pond or the river or wherever you are, look at the tail and wonder why our creator gave a tail feather like that to the male mallard. Quite amazing. Right. Okay. So, if you'd like to show us what you've done, if Ben could unmute you all and